copywriting, and one of my personal favorites, direct response or direct response marketing, and quite a few more. So saying that marketing is just advertising is kind of like saying that finance is just taxes, or HR is just hiring people, or legal is just not getting sued. Sure, these are all important, but they're really just one piece of the entire puzzle. This is why if you're just getting started in marketing, it can seem pretty overwhelming, which is why my suggestion is to find an area that you find interesting, fascinating, like say social media or content marketing. Start there, really get some roots, and branch out later. Alright, so now that we've got that covered, what exactly is marketing? Well, as I've just covered, you know that marketing is made up of a bunch of different sub-segments, things like content marketing and email marketing and social media, all the things we talked about. But what exactly is the nature of marketing? Which sounds like some kind of documentary, The Nature of Marketing. On this week's episode of The Nature of Marketing, well, one of the first things you learn in any first-year marketing course is the 4 Ps of marketing: product, price, place, and promotion. Product being the details around whatever product or service is being sold. Price being the price, kind of obvious, but there's obviously a lot more that goes into it than just that. Place is where the product's being sold. And promotion, which is kind of the fun stuff. This is essentially how you're going to sell more of the product and what you're going to do to get the word out about your service. And while all of that is accurate and true, and the 4 Ps do make up a part of marketing, well, I prefer a simpler and easier to understand definition. Marketing, in its most basic sense, is communicating value to your customers. It's essentially answering the question of your customers, why should I care? Marketing helps people solve their problems by clearly defining and delivering solutions and really explaining the benefits of those solutions so they can get better results. Marketing is about connecting with people, understanding their pains and their problems and their frustrations, making them feel understood so that you can position your business as the solution to their problems, and essentially just make them feel better. And marketing is a really powerful force. As anyone that's been in business for any length of time can tell you, it's not always the best product or service that wins. In fact, it rarely is. Rather, it's the product or service with the best marketing. Like it or not, that's just kind of how it works, which is why having good marketing is just so important. So my favorite definition of marketing is that it's communicating value to your customers, but there's another side entirely that's rarely talked about, but still equally powerful, and that's creating value for your customers. You see, marketing can create value, and your marketing in and of itself can be valuable. An example could be a blog post that helps someone out, even before any money has changed hands. Or an advertisement someone sees that brightens their day and makes them laugh whether they choose to buy or not. Or the way that a product or service is delivered, the packaging, let's say, which is so luxurious and over the top that it makes the customer feel special just for having purchased it. You see, economics assumes that people make buying decisions rationally, logically, and with perfect information, but this is rarely, pretty much never the case. We as humans are emotional, often highly illogical, and rarely have the full set of facts when making any decision, which explains why marketing is so important and so powerful. After all, if we made all of our purchasing decisions based solely on logic and utility and the value we would get from these products, well, the entire luxury goods market wouldn't even exist. But not all marketing is created equal. You see, when it comes to marketing, like when it comes to pretty much anything, there's good marketing and there's bad marketing. Bad marketing is all of the reasons that marketing gets such a bad reputation. It's that hypey, spammy, over-the-top, sleazy, salesy, icky kind of marketing that we all know, we've all seen, and nobody likes. It's the stuff that looks cheap, makes people feel dirty even just looking at it, and promotes bad products or bad services that really helps nobody. It's the fake countdown timers you sometimes see on websites, the going out of business sales that never end, and the pushy promotion of useless products. That's bad marketing. Good marketing, on the other hand, helps customers achieve their goals, makes them feel better about themselves, and has the power to truly change the world. So my question to you is, what kind of marketer do you want to be? That was a rhetorical question. If you say the bad kind, I got nothing for you. But if you say the good kind, and I know you did, then make sure to check out this video right here, which I've got linked up on the page, which is going to give you even more practical and effective marketing strategies.
Okay, so marketing is a lot of different things, but as you'll see in any videos that you watch or read in any books, and particularly for me, because marketing is my thing, it's really one of the most important things to make sure you have a successful business. And I can give you all a couple of pretty good examples. One example would be, some people open up restaurants on a shoestring budget. They make this delicious food, and they know it's delicious, and everybody they cook for says it's delicious. And so they open up a restaurant here in California. And let's say they open it up on a strip mall, maybe on PCH. I can think of one example right away. There's this little place on PCH, and it's kind of close to Cherry, but right before you get to it. And there's this little, they sell tea. It's a tea shop. Anybody seen it? Hands up. Anybody? Okay. They look like they have all kinds of tea, from, the Bobo kind to every kind you can imagine. Well, they appeared, I don't know, a year or two ago, but they're kind of in a bad place. They're in this strip center, and they're kind of behind a staircase. And I thought, how will anybody ever find them? And sure enough, within 2 or 3 weeks, it was gone. And I thought, well, they might have the best tea in the world, but if nobody knows they're there, it's not going to do any good. So I don't know, about 2 or 3 months later, here comes another tea shop. I doubt it was the same company, had a different name, and it appeared, and it stayed for a while, then it disappeared. I think there's one there again now, but I don't suspect that that the tea isn't any good. I suspect that no one knows about it. So, marketing is extremely important, even if it's just like marketing through Groupon. How many of you decide you want to get something to eat and you check Groupon out first? Show of hands. Anybody? No? Can't believe it. Let's say that you, with Groupon, sometimes I'll say, I think I want some Chinese food. And so I'll go to Groupon, and they might have, buy one, get one free. I'm thinking, okay, let me go see what kind of reviews they have, because, if they have like a D or something from the health company, the health organization, Long Beach, I'm sure not eating there, and so the health department. So I look at that, and then I go back and say, that's a pretty good deal. So, I might go try them out if they're close by. Saves you a lot of money. So, but if you don't advertise anywhere, nobody's going to find you unless you're just nosy like me. And when I'm driving down the road, I'm looking at everything, around me to see what's new that I might want to try. So, marketing is extremely important. The other thing that they talked about was packaging things well, that someone might want something just because it's really packaged well. I can think of a lot of examples for that. There's some types of perfume that really smell horrible, but they have the most beautiful bottles, and so people will try them anyway and think, oh, well, maybe it'll smell better when I get home, or whatever it happens to be. So, packaging can make a huge difference, but that's all part of marketing, but you don't want to sell or market a crummy product. Now, I've told y'all, I think every class I'll probably harp on this a little bit, but marketing is marketing, whether it's marketing healthcare, or whether it's marketing, Ferraris or Ford Raptors, or whatever it happens to be, the same principles are always there. It's price, product, place, promotion. And what can you do for your product or your service to stand out? And that's what it's all about. That's what marketing is all about. And then once you figure that out, and you figure out your target group, and, you figure out if there's a need being fulfilled, then you're on your way to having a good marketing campaign going. Okay, so before I go, I had a question a while ago. I think it was Valerie or someone, I think it was, asked me about the cross-cultural competency. I looked it up, and what it is it's a link in the syllabus down in the section that describes the assignments. And what you're going to do is you're going to take that quiz on that link, and then when you finish, there's going to be a pop-up, and the pop-up is going to say you've completed the quiz and what your score is. Some students have figured out a way to put their name on that pop-up. I don't know whether it asks you questions, or maybe it's the kind of search engine you're using or whatever. But if you haven't done that, then you can take a picture with your phone and print it, put your name on it, because your name has to be on it when you upload it to the Dropbox. Put your name on it and upload to the Dropbox. If you're good with computers, you can just save that, right click on it and save it, and then take it into some program like Adobe, Photoshop, or one of the other. I think somebody told me that Mac does it for you automatically, lets you edit things, and just type your name in it and save it, and then upload it to Dropbox. Now, I'm going to tell you right now that you're not going to make 100 probably on it, because it's a real broad cultural. It's just really a self-analysis. If you do it and you upload it, the box with your name on it, you're going to get 100%. Whether you make a 50 or 100 on it, whether you get them all right or get half of them right. I just want to know that you've done it. and kind of analyze yourself. Just how culturally competent are you? Because a lot of us think, well, I'm culturally competent, and I'm used to diversity and all those kind of things. And then when you actually take one of these analyses, you figure out maybe don't know as much as I thought I did. So that's the purpose of this assignment, not for you to make, like 100 out of 100 or 10 out of 10. I don't remember how many questions are in it, but to complete it and really think about, if you learn anything about yourself from it. So if you don't do a really, high score, don't worry. That's okay. Just, you'll get the same grade either way as long as you complete it. Okay, we good on that? Valerie, was it you that asked me about it?
Yes, thank you so much.
Okay, does that help?
Yes, it does.
Okay, super. Okay, so now what we're going to do is I'm going to open up the PowerPoint, and we're going to, I'm not a proponent of reading PowerPoints, so what I'm going to do is open it up, and then some of it I might read to you, but some of it I'm going to ad lib so that you'll have a little extra information that might help you remember. And I don't think that worked. Let me see. Sharing. Where are you? Everything but that. Here we go. I don't know if this is it or not. Nah, it's the wrong one. Hang on, y'all. All right, I know it's here because I'm looking right at it. Where is it hiding? Yeah, this one. Your instructor is not particularly technology advanced tonight, or any night probably. Okay, can y'all see that?
Yes.
Okay, super. All right. Okay, so I don't know, all of y'all are, from a different generation, so you probably don't remember this, but 40 years ago, the hospitals, doctors, lawyers, any kind of what they called learned professions did not advertise. In the case of hospitals, there were actually ethics rules in place that forbid advertising. And the reason was they felt like that it diminished the professionalism of the organization. So for many, many years, there was never any advertising done for hospitals or doctors or, clinics or anything along those lines. And then, except for pharmaceutical medicine and things like that, that was actually, when you can find ads, and I used to have some, but I don't know, I couldn't put my hands on them. You could find ads from back in the late 1800s where they were advertising, I think it was something like morphine in the paper, where you could just buy it without a prescription or anything. You just go buy it. But there were ads in the paper for that kind of thing. So that has never been as controlled as the service itself. The drugs were, you could always advertise. Even up to today's world, when you see all the time any kind of new medication for curing some kind of ailment or correcting it or whatever it happens to be, they will advertise on the TV or on, in flyers and on the billboards and anywhere everywhere you turn around. They do that because they figure that the consumer, if they see it, the consumer will go to their doctor and say, I want this medicine. And for a long time, they were able to advertise like that without putting any kind of restrictions. They could just say, well, this is the miracle drug of the century. It's going to stop you from everything you don't want to do, whatever it happens to be. But then the FDA got hold of them and they said, listen, you cannot just advertise something as being the end all for everything. You need to say what the side effects are. So when you're watching ads on TV now for medications, they will always say something at the end, or they'll have it typed in very small print that these are the possible side effects that happen once in a great while. Well, we really don't know how often that once in a great while is, but they now have to tell you that also. They can't just make the consumer believe that it's the miracle drug of the century. So, basing on that, in the 1970s, actually, I think it was about 1976, the first marketing position in a hospital was created. And that was at an Evanston Hospital in Illinois. They actually had someone that was very forward thinking. You know, they were watching what was going on, and it looked like that at some point, hospitals were going to have to market themselves. Otherwise, they were going to just not be able to keep up with the rat race. You know, people were not, you've got to let people know you're there, just like the little restaurants have to let people know you're there. Before the 1970s, what they did was to get business to the hospital. They didn't go out and market it, but they went to doctors' offices and, you know, anywhere that would actually use their facilities, not the customer, the end user, but the people who are referring them. Because back in those years, your general practitioner oftentimes went with you to the hospital and, you know, and did whatever needed to be done to you. The hospital didn't have their own staff for surgery and for having babies and for all these different things. It was actually, they were actually gave privileges to your internalist or the special, you know, your family doctor, whatever it happened to be. So they were doing things for doctors like sending them to Hawaii. You know, they were giving them extremely expensive golf clubs. They were joining country clubs for them to play golf. All these things were benefits that they were kind of giving them under the table in order to get them to refer to their hospital. And so the AMA and FDA and everybody decided they're going to stop that mess. So what they did was they said, no longer can you give any kind of expensive incentives like that to doctors. You know, you can give them pens with their name on it. You can give them specialized prescription pass, anything that they use directly with the customer or with the patient, but they can no longer be given all kinds of cruises around the world and those kinds of things. And then AMA came out and said, you know, we think it's okay for you to advertise. And along about the same time, the insurance companies started allowing you to choose the hospitals that you went to. Prior to that, the insurance companies only paid for whatever hospital your doctor recommended. And otherwise, other than that, you were kind of just out of luck. So all of this started happening in the 70s on up to today's world where, you know, if you've got a HMO, then you are kind of stuck with the HMO, you know, and who you're with. But that's your choice to get the HMO. You have choices. And if you have the PPO, you know, you have a network. And even if you're the one person you want isn't in your network, you can probably get part of it paid for by going out of network. So now the consumer basically is being consulted on where you want to go. So this is where marketing becomes extremely important. If the consumer doesn't know that you have a top flight orthopedic clinic in your hospital, they won't come because they won't know. So you need marketing and advertising and social media are all extremely important in that respect. Now, when you look at the meaning of marketing, it's, you know, like we've heard before on all these different videos, it's planning and executing, pricing, distributing. So the process of planning and executing the concept, pricing, promotion, and distribution of ideas, goods, and services to create exchanges that satisfy the individual and the organizational objectives. That's the American Marketing Association definition. You know, you could all day say you are the best orthopedic clinic in all of Southern California, but if you're the patient or the potential patient doesn't need an orthopedic clinic for one thing, then they don't care whether you're the best or not. The other thing would be if they don't believe you're the best. Companies tend to be myopic, meaning that they only see from the inside and they don't look at the reality of things. You know, they're always looking at all the things that they offer, that their company offers, but maybe they haven't looked around and seen that other companies may be offering better benefits, better services, and maybe even for less money. So marketing includes constantly surveying the surrounding competition. You have to constantly know what's going on, because at any moment something could pop up and just, knock you right out of first place or second place or third place or wherever you happen to be. So there are some prerequisites that need to be satisfied for marketing. Unsatisfied needs. If any of you ever watch Shark Tank, a lot of times, there'll be a neat widget of some kind, but the sharks will say, well, what problem does it fix? Yeah, it's pretty neat what it does, but is there actually a need that is satisfying? Because they're looking for something that has a larger market, not something that is only marketed to maybe a very tiny percent of the population. So if the person in the Shark Tank can't say to them, well, this target group is, huge, and why it's huge, then they probably won't get a deal. So, it has to satisfy some sort of need that hasn't been there before. And, it's really funny because I see a lot of things on Shark Tank and I think, wow, I wish I'd thought about that. It's so simple, and they make millions of dollars. So, there has to be, if there's an issue out there, you got to figure out how you can fix that issue. And that alone will start you on the right path. Then you have to have a desire to meet those needs. Sometimes someone may need, they may need to not have to wait so long in the waiting room at the doctor's office. And the doctor's office may say, too bad, I'm not hiring anybody else. We don't have any more help. And if you don't want to, wait for 2 hours for your appointment, then go find somebody else, So in that case, maybe the organization does not put cutting down the wait time as a priority. So there again, if they don't consider priority and aren't going to do it, then it's not going to you can do all the marketing in the world and it's not going to satisfy that need. Now, I told you all that before there was a code of ethics. It was done in 1847, and it was from AMA, and they placed a ban on all advertising. So, because they felt like, as I told you earlier, it was derogatory to the dignity of the profession. And this actually stayed in place until 1980. So the hospital in Evanston was very forward thinking. They looked at the future, they looked at what was going on, and they hired a marketing manager or position 4 years before it was even before you could even use it. They were just kind of working there in the background. And then the other thing that you need to think about is who actually does the marketing. And it kind of goes around. Traditionally, many years ago, there were marketing companies and advertising companies that did it for you. In today's world, more often than not, it's done from within the organization. And I can tell y'all as newbies, when you get your first job, I can almost guarantee at least half of you are going to end up running the social media, because a lot of the people that are already in the positions, don't know too much about social media, whereas your generation absolutely knows about social media, or they don't want to do it. And low man on the totem pole, usually gets that job. So you may be starting blogs, you may be doing Twitter, you may be doing YouTube, Facebook, all those different things that are that portion of marketing that are extremely important. And some of them aren't even like direct advertising. Like in the video that talked about blogs that could be set up that it may be people going to your blogs that aren't even customers yet or patients yet, but you're giving information that they want. It could be a blog about the latest COVID vaccination, or it could be a blog about, what to put on when you go out in the sun, whatever it happens to be, but things that are meaningful to everyone. But by providing that, you actually get on their minds. Your company actually gets on their minds. And eventually there's usually a payoff for that. Same thing with YouTube. A lot of hospitals, if you go search in YouTube, you'll find hospitals that, they put up little short 2-minute videos on, maybe some new service they're offering, or maybe just showing the friendliness of the staff or whatever it happens to be. But all of those things are just, they're information wise. They may talk about the importance of getting having healthy heart checkups and those kind of things. It's informational, but it's getting your name out there because those videos will have logos, you know, they'll mention names. So without actually saying you need to come to us, you know, they're getting the words out there. Okay. Again, we've got and if y'all don't remember price, product, place, promotion, I can always play that little song for you again. So you'll have to think about it even in your sleep for the next few weeks. But again, when we're looking at the 4 Ps, products are goods or services or ideas that are offered by a firm. There are even contractors in today's world that run emergency rooms, or there's web-based consulting services. A lot of times people think, my students think product has to be something, you know, tangible that you can hold in your hands. But the product is anything that the company is providing. And that includes service, you know, it includes whatever that company is providing, that's the product of that company. Now, price, what generally is thought of as a price is actually what someone's willing to pay for it. And, you know, you can have what you think is the best widget in the world, and you might want to charge $100 for it. And somebody else might say, I wouldn't give you 10 cents for that, you know, but then another person might say, wow, that's really good, but it's too high, you know. So, you know, you do that, you do surveys and you find out, you know, what is the best price that people are willing to pay. Not too cheap, but certainly not too high. So basically it's what is somebody willing to pay? And that goes in any number of things, you know, whether it's, you know, in hospitals and buying vehicles, you know, personally, like there used to be a Ferrari place that I drove by all the time. I couldn't tell you if they had 1 car or 30 cars on that lot because it just wasn't important to me. I didn't pay attention. I just noticed the sign and kept going. But there are some people that are willing to pay that price. I mean, in Texas, you can buy a house, you know, for what a Ferrari costs. Okay, hang on just a minute. Sandra, your hand is up.
Yeah, I have a quick question. So when like a company or like an organization is trying to figure out a price point, do they go through like a trial where they set at a specific price and then they figure out it from there? Or how long does that process take?
Okay, it depends on the company. Some companies have like products that are similar to it, so they have a pretty good idea. Let's say, for instance, Procter & Gamble, you know, they make, you know, I don't know how many kinds of detergent, you know, for washing machines. So they kind of have a gauge on what they can charge for it and get away with it. So in that case, they just put a price on it that they think will work. If you have another company that maybe this is a new product in their line or something along those lines, what they may do is a test market. And they'll maybe just sell it in, let's say, Southern California. And then they'll see and they'll put it at a certain price. And if it doesn't sell, they'll pull it back and they'll wait a while and they'll put it at a different price, or they'll send surveys out. I don't know if any of you ever heard, there's Amazon has this thing, a secret shopper thing. And a lot of companies put their stuff with the secret shoppers and they get feedback from the people that they, you know, that they send that stuff to. And then oftentimes they'll ask, you know, what would you be willing to pay for this? And so sometimes they get it that way. So it just depends on the product and on the company. Does that help?
Yes, thank you.
There's really no exact answer because you know, it depends, like I said, on the product and who's selling it. Okay, so and thanks for the questions. I love questions. Then when you're talking about the place and how it's distributed, you know, you can look when y'all get ready to do your big project, y'all are going to have to determine where you're going to have your business, whatever it happens to be. And you're going to have to think about a lot of things with place. Is it close to the people, the clients? Is it close to my target group? You know, what are the costs of it? How are we going to bring people to this place? You know, is it on a bus route? Is it on a train route? Is it, you know, or am I in a higher end? Am I going to do like a cosmetic plastic surgery and, you know, where I'm going to be in Laguna? Well, then it really doesn't matter whether a bus goes there or not, because anyone that comes to your place is not going to be riding a bus. More than likely, they're going to be coming in a limo or, you know, a Tesla or something, you know. So you have to look at all that, in all those different pieces before you decide like what place you're going to have it at. And, you know, this also, counts on like insurance and prepaid health plans. Where are you going to sell these prepaid health plans? Like, let's say that your job at Kaiser, when you get out, is that you're going to be going out and marketing the prepaid health plans at the HMOs. So probably, you're not going to go to San Diego and try to sell a company down there, an HMO, unless there is a Kaiser close by. So you got to look at where is it at? You can't get out of your track, I guess. You have to stay within a certain area. I read an article one time that said that people that provide services, and we're going to take it down a few levels to like people that work in like hair salons or even nail shops or anything like that, when they move from one business to another, they try not to go over 3 miles away, because statistically, if you move 3 miles from where you were originally, your customers will not follow. They will just find someone else. So, you have to look at all these different options. Now, there's always outliers. I'm hoping all of you remember from your basic statistics class what an outlier is. An outlier is that person that doesn't fit into the generalization. If you had a chart that had a line with all the little dots, you put in all your little numbers and a line pretty much followed those little dots. Then you had 1 or 2 dots way up in the left or way down in the right, that don't follow the general rule at all. Those are outliers. And a real life example I can give you of that is that I have in Texas a 1999 2-door Chevrolet Tahoe. Now, they quit making those Tahoes in 1999. That was the last one. And the reason they quit making them was because they were too expensive for the type of person that wanted to drive them. Because mine has a lift kit on it, and I have to take a running start to get in because I'm not very tall and I don't like running boards. So, it's very unusual for someone in my age bracket, in my type of field that would be driving a vehicle like that. But because most of the people who wanted that vehicle were teenagers and early drivers, and they couldn't afford it. So they quit making them. But when you have to look at, there's always outliers, but you can't market to the outliers because they can't support you. And so that's one of the things you also have to think about. Who is your target group? And be sure that they can support what it is that you're trying to do. Okay, let's see. All right, now I'm going to stop here for a minute. And what we're going to do now is I'm going to, how many of you checked your email and saw your groups? Anybody? Hands up? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so what I'm going to do, all right, I'm going to put it up here in the chat room, your groups. And so look for your name and find out which group you're in. Then after you do that, I'm going to send y'all out into a break room. Now, first I'm going to give you all this worksheet that I want y'all to work together on. And what the worksheet is needs versus wants. And as a group, what I want y'all to do is complete this worksheet with, 4 or 5 on each one. What is a need versus a want? And that has to do with your health, or with medical care, or with anything having to do with healthcare or medical or medicine or anything like that. And y'all are going to you need one person to write it down. And then when we come back, we're going to talk about what y'all think medically or healthcare wise is a need and what's a want. So we're going to do 2 things right now. I'm going to send up your, in case y'all didn't check your email, I'm going to send up your group list so you can see what group you're in. And then I'm going to send up the worksheet that one of you needs to download from your group, or all of you, or however, so you're sure that you have it. Then I'm going to open up the breakout rooms, and you're going to self-select into the breakout room that is your group number. Okay, we good on that? All right. Let's see. That's not what I want. Where is that? There it is. Okay. Give me a second. Where is that? There it is, chat room. Okay. All right, first thing I'm going to do is send up the groups. Okay, so you should be able to see the groups now. And now I'm going to send up the worksheet. Okay, so everybody needs to open it and see what their group is. And I'm going to open up the breakout room and be sure you go into what your group is. If you're having difficulty seeing your group or you can't get in there for some reason, I'm right here with the list, so I can help you out. But let's see how many of you can get in there without me sending you there. So we've got 5 groups. And I want y'all to self-select into your group number. And then once you get there, you're going to talk about needs and versus wants. Everybody with me?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm waiting to see things disappear, see names disappear into their rooms. They're starting to go. All right.
Professor, do we automatically get added to the groups?
When you select the room, you're in that. So like whatever room number you are, then you just choose that one. Like whatever group number you are. Who
Okay.
is this?
Oh,
I can't-
Ashley.
Ashley, I can't tell who's
Yeah.
talking. Okay,
Oh.
do you know which one you're in?
Yeah, I'm in group 3, but I don't know how to add it or join it.
Okay, I'm gonna assign you to it.
Me either.
Okay. thank
Okay,
you.
all right. And who else? Maria, was that you?
Yeah, I'm in group 4.
Okay, I'm gonna assign you to it.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Wait, sorry, how do we see our group number?
Your group number is on the page that I put up there that says HCA O2 groups, and I also sent it to your email, but I can tell you what
Oh,
group you're in. Pronounce your name for me.
Kojiro Ueoka.
Okay, you're in group 5.
Group
And I'll
5,
send you
perfect,
there.
thank you.
Okay?
Appreciate it.
You
Yeah.
bet. Okay, we're all back. So I hope y'all got a chance to come up with some good thoughts, because what we're going to do now is I'm going to call you out, and I'd like for you to tell me for your group. I just need one person out of the group to tell me what y'all thought was the two most basic needs and the two, the two wants that y'all thought were the best. So I'm going to start with group one. Who's going to be the spokesperson? Anybody?
I can.
Okay.
Okay. Hello, my name is Tian, and what our group thought was the two most significant needs and wants was for our needs was basically access to information, and our wants was higher pay and better benefits for our nurses and doctors.
Okay, very good. And that's actually, I hadn't even heard those yet today, so good deal. Good job. Okay, how about group two?
I can go ahead and share.
Okay.
One that I actually feel like you don't really hear is more interpreters in more healthcare settings. And then for a want, I believe lower pricing for insulin and like EpiPens, just because I know that's very expensive.
Absolutely. And my group this morning made a good observation. They said, well, some of this stuff is actually both. And, it's just like an EpiPen is extremely important to someone like, for instance, like me. When I leave the country, I take one because I'm allergic to bees. And so, I don't want to be in the middle of nowhere and get bit by something and not have an EpiPen, So, but, that is a want, but you would want them to be less expensive than they were because, they go out of date really fast too. So good job. Okay, how about group three?
So for ours, we put a need would be insulin and a want would be Botox. And then for the next need, we put a root canal if you need it. And then a want would be veneers from the dentist.
That's really good. Those are really great examples because that's so true. And Botox, the warning group didn't mention Botox. And I was surprised because to me, that is, for the most part, that is a want, unless it's for migraine headaches. And then, I guess it's a need maybe, but yeah, absolutely. Good job. Okay, how about group four?
So for the need, we came up with the quality of care. And for wants, it would be affordable care.
Good. Yeah, y'all had a good connection there. Okay. And group five.
Hi there. So for needs, we put down insulin for patients with diabetes, and then one would be like cosmetic surgery. And then another one I put down was disease prevention, any kind of disease prevention. And then another want would be like pills to lose weight.
You're so right. And that's one of the ones that I think was even talked about in the PowerPoint or in the book or somewhere. That is so true. People take pills for cholesterol and, that sometimes have a side effect maybe of losing weight and other things, but doctors don't give out those pills like they used to for losing weight, making it easy on you, man. You had a doctor tell me one time, just you should get stronger arms. And said, what do you mean? He said, just push away from the table. So, they don't really like to dish out those pills anymore. So you're absolutely right. Most plastic surgery that's not reconstructive is a want, obviously not. I found that, being from Texas, maybe now it's different, but there weren't as many people getting plastic surgery like in Texas as there are here in California, probably because of the entertainment industry and everybody has this really need to feel or look younger. But plastic surgeons, a lot of the things that they do definitely are just wants and certainly not needs. So, there are people like in downtown LA that are living on the streets that, would like to just, be able to go to a doctor for anything, and they can't afford it unless they can get into a free clinic. So the last thing on their mind would be, having their behind lifted, or having wrinkles ironed out or whatever it happens to be. So, and there's nothing wrong with having all those things done. If you have the money and you want to do it, it's great. But it definitely doesn't fall into the needs category for the most part. Okay, so y'all really covered just about everything I had to say about needs versus wants. So excellent job on that. So let's see, let me go back here to the PowerPoint. Or not. Let's try this again. Let's see. Okay. So now we're looking at who is your customer. And what you're going to hear me harping on a lot this semester is who is the customer. And the customer is your target group. And you have to decide who your target group is, and it differs for whatever your service happens to be. Your target group, let's say if you're a clinic specializing in gynecology for pregnancy, for having having babies and that kind of thing, then you might advertise or market typically to ages about 20 to 40. Now, that's not to say that there's not 42-year-olds, 45-year-olds, and in some cases, if any of you take my 417, you'll read about a 72-year-old that had in vitro and had a baby. So, but that, again, is your outlier. What you're looking for is who is the customer, the typical customer, and that's what you're going to gear your marketing towards. And that would be typically 20 to probably 40, or something along those lines. So, you have to determine just exactly who it is that is your customer. And that's who you're going to market to, because anything else is a waste of money. So let's look at some other things about it. Again, we're back at needs versus wants on who is the customer. So all along, we have to determine that. And then you survey them, you talk to them, you get feedback, you do all those things to find out what it is that they think you need. Let's look at the example that they need. Let's look at the example of, let's say you're going to open up an emergency care clinic, and you want to find out, because most of the people will be probably within a 2 to 3 mile radius of where your clinic is going to be. So you would want to put a survey out, one way or the other, get there, do, phone calls, you could do, surveys on doors, you could do any number of things to try to get that information, interview people in local malls or whatever it happens to be. What would be important to them in an emergency clinic, emergency care clinic? And so maybe it is like their doctors are open 8 to 5 or 9 to 5, and maybe they tell you, I just can't take off work to go to the clinic. So they might say, if you're open from noon to midnight, they'd be more likely to use you, or something along those lines. So who is your customer, and what is it? What do they perceive as their needs? You might perceive that they need to lose weight, or that they need to run or be more athletic, or whatever it happens to be. But if that's not what they perceive as their needs, it's not going to do you any good. You've got to find out what it is that they need. And that's how you decide, what you're going to provide. All right, I'm going to give y'all just a quick history of this, because our time is marching on. I don't want to hold y'all really, really late. So as we move on to, I forgot to show y'all a video a while ago on needs versus wants. Give me 1 second to get to the right page over here. Okay, as you look at the different eras in history when it comes to marketing, we already talked about in 1975 that Evanston, Illinois hired the first marketing professional in the hospital. But if you look at the history of marketing and production and all the things that go into it, the production era, many, many years ago, they were very interested in putting out a quality product. You know, when you bought something, you were pretty well assured that it was the best possible thing that company could put out. And then it was more about, you know, what they were producing and pride in their product than it was about multiple types of the product. So back in the 1920s, well, the production era was, I'm trying to think of a good example. If you ever watched Little House on the Prairie, where everything you bought from a store, you got every single thing from that general store, you know, like whether it was,
Hello. How are
yes,
you? Pretty good. Yeah, I totally
Okay.
forgot about it. 7 to 9:45. It's so shitty.
okay,
I got put in a
Try this
breakout
again.
room and I didn't know until
Hello.
20 minutes later.
You're on speaker.
And then I say like, and then you text in the chat like, is my mic working? Can you guys hear me?
yeah,
And I'm like,
we can. Okay. So,
How's drive? Did you go past the 2 bridges?
Yeah.
Nice, nice, nice.
okay,
Think
so
10
we've
minutes
got
in
this
there. Every time we
production.
go over a bridge, we rate it.
I'm
like,
not sure who
sturdiness.
it is talking, but you might want to mute yourself.
Aesthetic. Yeah.
Professor, I think you can mute the person that's talking.
I don't know who it is. Oh, it stopped. Okay. All right. So with the production then, the high quality, like Little House on the Prairie, you bought everything at that general store. You didn't have a choice. If you wanted sugar, you bought what they had because it was probably made at the local sugar mill that was within 2 or 3 miles, if that far, from where you bought the sugar. You know, you bought everything. Every single thing came from that store. And so there was many reasons for that, but one of which was that there was no way to transport all these products where you would have choices and no place to put it. And, you know, there was just, it was very, very different than today's world. And then we entered into what's known as the sales era, which was the 1920s. And that's when they started building highways, because what happened in the early 1900s that we needed highways? Anybody know? Anybody know about
Cars?
Henry Ford? Yeah, you got it. Henry Ford. Henry Ford decided that the average person should be able to, and you know, I'm going to talk about Ford because I love Fords. I drive a Ford truck and I love my truck. so the average person, you know, could not afford a car back in the early 1900s. So Henry Ford said, I want everyone that has any kind of a job at all to be able to afford a car. So he came up with the production line, the manufacturing production line. So he could churn out those things, you know, those cars, he could churn them out, you know, X number, you know, in a day, where used to it would be like 1 a day or something, but he got people specialized in particular areas, and they just, one person might put the engine in, another person might paint it, you know, whatever it was, but it went down that production line and man, they were churning those cars out. Now, what the Henry Ford was famous for, and I always like to say this because it's what students remember funny things, I think. And so what he was famous for saying was, you can order a Model T in any color that you want, as long as it's black. So, you know, because that's all they made was black cars, because it was much cheaper to buy just one paint and to paint them all the same. You had no choices, but man, people were so happy to get those cars. Well, once they had the cars, you know, they had to be able to drive them somewhere. And in those days, you know, there were like, you know, sandy roads and muddy roads and, you know, things that horses could pull the buggies through and the wagons and stuff, but cars didn't do so well in that kind of stuff. So they had to create highways. Now, once they created highways, what came along with that was traveling salesmen. Because those traveling salesmen, and they started out with like, they would just call them door-to-door salesmen, and they would carry like samples in a, you know, in a suitcase, and people would, you know, buy them right out of there, right out of the suitcase, or if he didn't have it, he'd bring it back around, or I'm not sure how they actually got to them next time around. Maybe they had to wait till next time they came, but it started out like that. And then you started having salesmen that were kind of like distributors. And so they would have just a sample and show it to the different end user, or to the grocery stores or the general stores, whatever it happened to be. And then once they ordered it, then there were actually small trucks that would deliver it on those highways. So that's what kind of started out the sales world, was in the 1920s when there was ways to get merchandise from one place to the other. Because if you'd have tried to take sugar from Georgia to New York in the dead of winter, that sugar would have never got there. But once you had the cars and also trains, where the tracks were built, then you were able to, spread your product out more. And then you had to, you started looking at marketing, to when you're looking at marketing and healthcare needs, there's all kinds of ways that you can address healthcare needs. They're not always satisfied by being in a hospital or being in a nursing home or being, wherever it happens to be. There's home care, there's, all kinds of geriatric places. There's all kinds of things that healthcare has to market because people don't know about it. It's very expensive, as most of you know, I'm sure, to go to a assisted living or nursing facility. And, it's 60, 70, 80,000, even more a year, depending on where you're at, when you can sometimes hire a healthcare worker like Visiting Angels or one of those that can come in even 24 hours and help someone if all they need is a little help, if they don't need more than that for care. So all these things have to be marketed because people don't know about it. Okay. Oh, come on. Why aren't you going? All right, so I'm going to stop on that chapter here because the rest of it's pretty, maybe I'm going to stop, self-explanatory. And what we're going to do now, does anybody have any questions on that chapter? Needs, wants, marketing, what it's all about? Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you all a video on SWOT analysis. And then we're going to do three things, maybe two things, because it's already 8:30. So I'm going to show you this video on SWOT analysis, and I also have a video to show you on chapter 2, so that it gives you an introduction to chapter 2. So when you read it, it'll make, maybe it'll bring it more, make it more tangible for you. And then the last thing, when I put you into groups, we're going to go into groups again to do a SWOT exercise. And before y'all do the SWOT exercise, y'all need to decide what social media y'all want to do for your group. And it's going to be, you have to email me, and it's going to be on a first come, first serve. So the faster you decide and the faster you get the email to me, the more likely you are to get the social media that you want. Remember, you can choose any social media that can be used for advertising. It can be YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Pinterest, Snapchat, what else is there? TikTok, any of them that that your group would like to do their social media project on. So we're gonna do that first thing after we watch the video and y'all go into groups. So what I'm gonna do now is share with you maybe the video on, that doesn't seem to be here, on marketing strategy or strategic planning. I think it's this one. Yeah. Okay.
I just wanted to thank you for downloading your tool, whether it's the 15 questions, the strategic planning template, strategic planning assessment, or something else. And as an added bonus, I wanted to run through the strategic planning process with you so that you could get the most out of your tool and bring the most value to your organization. So I endeavored to do this in under 15 minutes, so let's do it. So, strategic planning process. When we do it, there's basically 4 components. There's where are we now, where are we going, what is going to get in our way, and what do we need to do to get to where we want to go. In our process, our aligned strategy development process that we do here, there's 3 types of alignment. Alignment with the leadership team, so making sure everybody on the leadership team is on the same page, that's board or leadership. Alignment with the vision and the strategy, and alignment within the whole organization, so top down, bottom up, everybody's on the same page. So the first part of the strategic planning process is getting inputs. Where are we now? That's things like doing an external analysis, whether that's a SWOT or a PESTEL analysis. You need to figure out what's going on outside of your organization as well as inside your organization as you build your strategy. The second input that I would recommend is doing an internal analysis, something like a stakeholder engagement survey or just management team inputs. And that's why a strategic planning session is so valuable. And we even do a survey before all of ours. This is the overview of the strategic planning process. So it starts with the vision, where are we going? Then you'll get there by accomplishing your mission. You'll have goals and objectives along the way that help you accomplish your mission, that help you accomplish your vision. And then the strategies, how are you going to accomplish your goals? And the tactics are the individual.
I can hear it. Oh,
Yeah, me too. I can hear it too.
I think you're muted, Professor.
yeah, you're muted, but I could hear the video.
Okay, thank you. Because I didn't want y'all to hear me crunching my ice. Okay, so some people could hear it. How many could not hear it? Anybody besides Betty?
I couldn't hear
Ash?
it.
You couldn't hear it, Ashley?
No.
Okay. Everybody else could hear it?
Yes.
Okay. All
Yes.
right, I'm gonna start again. Ashley, I'm not sure what's going on. Did you hear the other videos?
Yeah,
Ashley?
the other videos were playing.
Okay, well, let's try it again, see if it reboots when I try it again. If not, I will send you the link and you can watch it later, okay?
Okay.
All right.
Creating your strategic plan. Most important piece of this is the vision. Where are we going? The future is uncertain, but we as an organization have an opportunity to create that future. So how do you create a vision that isn't just words? A vision is super valuable to be able to motivate your people and inspire people to want to do more and contribute. So a way to think about it is, if success was a place, how would we know if we got there? Where are we going? Why should we go there? And what is winning? We're creating the future, however long it is from now, and we want to be as descriptive as possible on the outset. So what do you see for your organization in 3 to 5 years, or maybe 10 to 25 years? What's a big goal within that vision that could polarize your team? And ideally, that one big target everybody can contribute to. It's really important for them to describe the vision as vividly as possible. So what do operations look like? What does staff look like? What do clients look like? How else does your organization look different? And think of it like a blueprint for a house. That's what you're building. The next piece to this is the mission and the purpose. If you complete your mission, you will move forward towards the vision. Why do you exist? What do you do it for? Who is your main customer? And what do you do for them? It's important to realize that you have to make it simple to understand, no buzzwords, and this is not a marketing exercise. This is at the core foundation of why your organization exists. So the next piece that helps the mission stay together are values within the organization. You can use values or culture, but it's really the DNA of your organization. What do you value currently within the organization? What are the cultures and norms of your organization and of your people? Why are they important? What values are important to them? How would you describe the organization if it were a person, good or bad? What is the way we do things around here if you're explaining it to somebody new? What's not acceptable behavior? It's important for you to recognize that values drive performance. It ties the whole strategy together. So again, you have to align your strategy with your vision and your purpose. If you accomplish your purpose, your mission, and then you will be closer to accomplishing your vision. So here's some risks. What's going to get in our way? Leadership. If you don't have the whole management team on board, it's going to pull back your strategy because they're the ones giving the marching orders to your staff and your employees. Communication. This is the biggest hindrance to a successful implementation because people don't know what the plan is, they don't know what they're doing, and they're withholding important information that is really crucial to the plan. resources. If you don't give enough time or money to put something in place, then it's just not going to happen. And then buy-in. Do you want to be creating a plan and pushing it on your people, or do you want them to buy into the plan because you're allowing them to contribute and move forward on it themselves? So other implementation constraints, time, budgets, human resources, technology, and pretty much anything you can think of, it's waiting around the corner, and there are opportunities in the planning process to identify them, create impact studies, as well as mitigation plans to minimize the downside of these risks. So what uncertainties exist for us? What are the impacts of those uncertainties? What is the likelihood of that happening? And what can we do to mitigate that risk? That way you are proactive instead of reactive, and it keeps your plan on task. So what are the most important things you should be doing in your organization to accomplish your mission and your vision? Strategy inherently is about choices, and there are 1,000,001 choices every single day. So when you create the plan, you need to work backwards to create the tasks, the roles, the individual areas of responsibility. And you can just look right now. How do you create work plans as it exists? This is one of the tools that we actually sell on SME Strategy, and this is the pyramid of purpose, in other words, and we just say, hey, focus on a handful of objectives, don't do too much. Do the strategic priorities well, make significant progress on them, and then move forward from there. Ideally, your strategic priorities help you accomplish your mission, help you accomplish your vision. It's all alignment. And then from there, you have to put the specific objectives and initiatives, the strategies and tactics underneath, as well as KPIs. So KPIs, performance measures and targets. How are you going to measure your strategic priorities? How are you going to know if you are successful? And this is really important. You have to have a scoreboard for your people. They need to know how they are going to be successful in your plan. If you don't have that, then they're just going to be working with a less aim, almost aimlessly, and it will really hurt you coming by in. So this is the balanced scorecard. You can find this on SME Strategy or anywhere else. Or your organization fundamentally does 4 things. There's financial metrics, there's customer metrics, there's learning and growth metrics, and there's internal business processes. And from each, you have objectives, measures, targets, and initiatives that all roll into your strategy and that help you accomplish your vision. So another important piece of that are cascading goals. So think of the goals from the organizational level, the team level, the functional level, and the individual. They all should roll up into the ultimate goal of the organization. And so this can be designed, can't really be run in one meeting. It needs to be done over time, and everybody needs to know how they can do their part to contribute to the strategy. So big picture versus practical application. There's people that you have to manage. So who are the key people in your organization that are responsible for functional areas? Where are gaps as far as key functions that you have right now? And are there people responsible for more than one area? That basically means who is going to be the human being, not the department, that is responsible for moving these strategic initiatives forward. The buck has to stop with a person, and people can be hard to manage. Communicating the plan. Like I said earlier, communication is key. How are you going to share this strategic plan with your organization so everybody can know how to contribute? Keep in mind that different people absorb information in different ways. Words, audio, pictures, whatever works for you, you need to keep the plan top of mind so that people can be aware of where the organization is going and what they need to do to move forward in it. It's all about alignment. If you lose out on some of these pieces, the entire strategy can fall. You need to make sure that the plan is aligned, your people are aligned, and it goes from the top down to the bottom up. And once you get alignment and buy-in, that's when real magic starts happening, and you make really big progress and important progress on your plan and everything that you work on. How do you get alignment? You got to communicate clearly and simply. You need to get buy-in, so bring people into the process so they know how they can contribute. You need to match goals and motivation. Think of it from their perspective. Everybody has a different reason to come to work, and that's why we're really passionate about what we do, because we make people's lives better. Your employees will have better lives. It will affect their families and their communities when they can be successful in their work. And to be successful, they need to have the capability to do that. So you got to give them the tools and the resources they need to succeed. If you give them a plan, but chop block them and don't allow them to be successful, they're not going to be very motivated to come into work and to give it their best. So when the rubber hits the road, you need to align your team and execute the plan. That means getting communication and then working backwards from the vision to build a plan that comes together and is well aligned. Like I said, strategy is about choices, and you just need to pick the most important things that are going to move your organization forward in the most effective way possible. So if you have an aligned plan and you have a clear direction and you keep that top of mind and don't sway from it, you're going to save time, money, and resources. Your people are going to be happier, and you're just going to get more done, which means you're going to have a bigger impact and you're going to help more people. And that's really what it's about. So happy planning, everyone. I hope you enjoy.
Oh, Professor, you're muted
I'm
again.
muted. I just
Yeah.
realized, thank y'all. Y'all need to always tell me because I'm muted, like I said, to keep y'all from hearing me crunching ice. Okay, so I've got one more little short video to show you that's on how to do SWOT analysis, and then we're going to go into the groups again. Maybe. All right, where'd you go? Oh, no, that was too long. I don't want to keep y'all that long. All right. Thought I had a 3-minute one. Okay. What I'm going to do is, most of you have been exposed to SWOT analysis before and should have read the book. So I don't want to hold y'all that long for the 15-minute video, but so what I'm going to do is put you into your groups. First thing you're going to do is decide what your social media is. Now I'm going to give you the project that y'all have while you're in your group. And it is called the analysis of the Brill. It's like a nursing home type place. And you should have seen it now. So, and what you're going to do on this is you're going to read the scenario, and then there's a box underneath it. And the box has 4 quadrants. And the quadrants are what your typical, SWOT analysis is. They're labeled. And you're going to put only the numbers. You don't have to write the whole statement in there, but you're going to put only the numbers of the statement. For instance, if you think the first statement goes in quadrant 1, then you just write 1 into that little box in quadrant 1, okay? But the first thing y'all are going to do is when I send y'all there, and you're going to self-select the same way you did before, is y'all are going to choose a social media and then email me. And again, it's first come, first serve. Okay, everybody with me?
Yes.
And after we do the SWOT, you good, Gina?
Mhm.
Okay, then after we do the SWOT analysis, it should take you about 10, 12 minutes. I'm going to bring you back into the room and I'm going to show you what they recommend the results are. And then I'm going to let y'all go. Does anyone need any other information about SWOT analysis? I'm going to check with your groups, and if I need to send y'all something else in the group, let me know. But I think y'all probably had it before, at least, somewhere down the line, and you should have read the book by now. So, we'll see. But I will check with y'all, each group, to be sure y'all doing okay. All right? All right. There you go. You're already selected, so you should be invited to join.